You are listening to Season 4 of Black Girl Missing, a true crime podcast covering stories of missing black girls under the age of 18. When black girls go missing, their cases are severely underreported in mainstream media. Join us as we dig deeper, ask questions, and provide unconsidered context. Due to the sensitive and sometimes graphic nature of these cases, we advise you to please use caution when listening. Okay. What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to Black Girl Missing, a podcast where we cover cold cases and current cases of black girls under the age of 18 who are missing in the United States. I am Nikki.
I am Asa.
And we are still trying to figure out who I'm going to be this season.
This is Dr. Feminista Jones.
Dr. Feminista. How about we do that?
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Thank
Dr. Feminista Jones.
Hey.
Let's just settle in on that and we'll keep the party going. How's everybody doing? How you feeling? How's your week been going?
Wonderful, excellent,
What's in your cup?
fantastic.
I'm Gucci.
What's in your cup?
I have multiple drinks. I have a unsweetened iced tea. I have a peach Perrier water. I have a still water with ice. I got snacks.
I love it.
I have
Right.
a bottle of Poland Spring.
I got some Tito's. Ashe?
I'll
Yes.
share. I'll share.
Because life right now calls for Tito's, and that's what we're going to do.
I feel that. I feel
Some
that.
of us have to go to the kidney doctor, so.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's always the Capricorn.
Bubba girl. I'm a drink a little wine after this just for you.
Thank you. Pour one out for me.
I have told myself I am not allowed to drink while we record anymore because I get the crying and shit, and we can't have that.
I mean, but you're a
that's
crier.
real.
I do.
But it's also how we sometimes cope, right?
You be
Like,
weepy.
I'm
It's
weepy.
okay.
I'm
all right,
weepy.
we're gonna get through this one. Why don't you kick this off? What are we digging into today?
We are digging into Jhessye Shockley from Glendale, Arizona. She was born on April 1st, 2006 to Jerice Hunter and
Aries.
oh Lord.
I'm sorry.
And
Aries.
born on April 1st to Jerice Hunter and George Shockley. By 2011, 5-year-old Jhessye was living in Glendale, Arizona with her 3 siblings and her mama. Teachers at her kindergarten had already seen that she had a lot of potential. Although she was still so young, she was described by her teacher as a bubbly girl who was an emerging leader. I feel like we all know a little girl like that. And it's just like she just has big boss energy.
Yep.
Because she's an Aries.
And so, yes,
I'm just saying.
yes, FJ.
Because I was that girl. Like I was that little girl. They always said we talk too much high energy. Because we're Aries.
Lord, it's the thing where it's like your report card said talks too much.
Yes, every single time.
Love it.
Needs to learn self-control. Yeah, that was me.
So, unfortunately, Jhessye was reported missing from her apartment near 45th and Glendale Avenue on October 11th, 2011 by her mother, Jerice. Now, she told police that she only left the house in the late afternoon to run a quick errand. I just want to point out that in the 90s, that was normal. In the 80s, totally normal to just like, I'm just going to run an errand and come right back.
Don't open the door for nobody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
That was it.
So
Sure.
it wasn't
For
something
sure.
that was so common in the early aughts, but we just gonna keep rolling and see what happens. So she ran a quick errand, and when she returned, she said she found the door wide open without Jhessye anywhere in the house. Her other children said they didn't know what happened. That is very curious because a lot of times a black mama leave you home alone. She said, "Don't open my door."
Mhm.
And the oldest child needs to be watching the younger child, and y'all stick together and just play quietly till I come back. A witness came forward and said that she saw an African American woman placing a young girl that matched Jessye's description in a black Chevrolet Malibu. That was not far from where Hunter lived with her children. Now we got a little timeline. October 12th, an Amber Alert. Now, mind you, October 11th is when she's found missing, or when she was reported missing. October 12th, an Amber Alert was issued for Jhessye on the basis of what the witness reported. Now, remember, we've talked about it in other seasons that an Amber Alert requires there to be a witnessing of a child who is being either abducted or appears to be missing, who is in a vehicle that is moving. So they have to have those things in order for it to be considered an Amber Alert. October 13th, police find no sign of Jhessye after canvassing the neighborhood. Meanwhile, news of Jhessye Hunter's past child abuse conviction surfaces. In 2005, she was charged with 5 felony charges relating to the abuse of her children. She was accused of beating her children. Her husband at the time, George Shockley, allegedly participated in these activities. Very interesting. Shockley, with whom Hunter later divorced, also spent time in prison in connection to sexual offenses and failing to register as a sex offender. I need to let that breathe a little bit because
Oh man, what is happening right now? This is gonna be one of those, ain't it?
Yes.
it's gonna be one of them.
Oh shit.
Now, Jhessye Hunter spent 4 years in prison for 4 points of felony child abuse charges. In 2010, she was released on parole and given custody of her children again. Now, when the state takes your children from you, reunification is always their point. They always would like to reunify families. That's fantastic. I love that. However, everybody can't have their kids back. I'm sorry.
Right.
Everybody can't have their kids back.
It's a sad reality, but it is a reality.
It just is. Now, October 16th, this is about 5 days after Jhessye was reported missing. Shirley Johnson, their grandmother, says Child Protective Services had removed the other 3 granddaughters from their mother's care after Jhessye was reported missing. Now, October 21st, we're a little over a week missing. A cousin who helped raise Jhessye told the Republic, a local publication, that she called CPS several times to report her suspicions that Jhessye and her older sister were being abused. Now, I think it's interesting that when you call CPS, they are supposed to investigate every claim. So what happened there?
And this woman has been convicted before, so
Of
that should be
multiple offenses.
It should be kind of a high alert. If her name pops up again from somebody, it should kind of like set off some flags, I would think.
Okay, so October 24th, Jhessye Hunter goes to the state capitol to raise awareness about her missing 5-year-old and criticizes the media for focusing on her rather than on finding Jhessye. I feel that.
Fair.
But you also have a history of harming your children. So I would be torn. Like, if I was watching this happen in real time, I would be torn because I would feel like, yeah, people do change and they do grow and do different. And maybe this mother, she made a mistake at one time and now she's, reformed and she's different now. I would want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but we don't know.
And since her, what was it, cousin?
Yeah, her cousin.
The cousin that helped raise Jhessye was like, yeah, she hasn't changed at all.
Nope. And she's like, there's suspicions.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that there's supposed to be some kind of provisional, like a bridge kind of connection where there's the visitations are limited at first. It's a shorter amount of time, supervision, all those kinds of things. They're supposed to offer like supportive services to help make that, so that's what I'm like wondering if that, and it doesn't seem like that kind of care was here. Like, I don't know.
Like, I've seen, like the wraparound programs where if you need assistance, parenting classes, things like that, They have that for you. I don't know if they have that in Arizona, but I'm wondering, what was put in place to be sure that these kids were going to be safe in her presence. And I'm also thinking about when this is all taking place. 2011, I'm thinking about, the political implications. Arizona was one of those states that was like, we have to save the children and keep the children safe and do this and do that. Well, how is a child being harmed like this on your watch?
Right. And it's only a year after
Yep.
she was released from prison.
1 year.
There should have been a lot of eyes on her and that family.
Yeah.
And while all of this is happening, Jhessye is pregnant. Really pregnant. Like ready to pop. Because on October 25th, she gives birth to another baby and is in the hospital until the 29th, which is, that's standard for when you give birth. It is later confirmed that CPS has also removed the newborn baby from Jhessye Hunter's care. Now, what I'm wondering is that George's baby, or did she have a baby with somebody else?
Questions that could
That's
use answers.
Question.
Because who is that man and where is he?
Well,
Yeah. So moving forward, we are now missing Jhessye for about a month and 10 days. So about a month and a half. Police arrest Jhessye Hunter on suspicion of child abuse involving Jhessye. The Maricopa County Superior Court released documents that revealed 2 of Jhessye's siblings, who were placed in foster care after she went missing, told their foster parents about some of the abuse that Jhessye received at the hands of her mother, who had spent the 4 years in the California prison system for child abuse. Now, Jhessye, again, Jesse's 5. Jesse's 13-year-old sister told her foster parents that several weeks before she was reported missing, their mother came home and found her watching TV with a boy from the neighborhood. Oh, God. The girl... I'm about to...
Here we go.
The girl told the foster parents and later police that Hunter called Jhessye a hoe and dragged her into a bedroom where the sister could hear Jhessye screaming and crying. So basically...
A 5-year-old.
And we've talked... A 5-year-old. We have talked about this in previous seasons about the adultification of little black girls. You are calling a 5-year-old a hoe because she's watching television next to a boy who is her peer. Please be for real.
I don't understand. Okay. No, I do understand it. And I understand it because I understand that patriarchy teaches women to be in competition with their own daughters, right? And to be in competition with every female human around them, right? But this also makes me wonder what was going on in her youth.
What did she experience?
Life. What did she experience that has her projecting this? Because she's abusive. So you don't become abusive out of nowhere, right? And so, and it's and sometimes, I got to say this for the audience, because sometimes you all think we're making excuses for people and we're not. We believe in giving you all the context that we can think of and trying to understand things from different angles here. We are not making excuses for the way this woman treated her children, but we also understand it doesn't happen in a vacuum, especially when it comes to Black women and Black mothers. We don't often consider the cycles of generational trauma inflicted upon Black girls and women that can cause them to continue and to act on that, right? So when I say something like that, it is me just kind of thinking like, what happened to her and what led her to be this kind of person?
To add a little bit more context to that, a lot of people who really love true crime, right? This isn't the kind of true crime that they like, because we humanize children and they don't always want that. A lot of the true crime that people are taking in is about like serial killers and shit, right? And then we have these like humanization of a serial killer, and it's like, oh, well, his mom was abusive. Okay, well, are we not doing the same thing?
Right.
It's not fair to look at someone who may have, killed a lot of women. Like, people love to talk about like Ted Bundy and stuff like that. well, what did he go through? We are talking about a very
Yeah.
similar
Mm-hmm.
situation where you have someone who was harmful. That person
Mm-hmm.
had a life before they were being harmful. And a lot of times,
Right.
those people were being harmed. And when you are a Black woman, a Black mother, there are so many facets to the harm that you experience from the time you're released from the womb, whether that is happening in your own home, your neighborhood, the schools that you go to, the people you work with, people you encounter. And that amount of harm, it changes you on a cellular level.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't want to give us that grace or that consideration
Mm-hmm.
because they don't care. Why? Because we're Black and we're women.
That's it. That's
Right.
it.
And in the context of this podcast, where our end goal is not simply entertainment, it is to stop Black girls from going missing.
Mm-hmm.
The cause and effect is part of what will help us figure out, and I say us as a collective society, figure out how to stop this from happening.
Wake it up. Now, again, this is a 5-year-old child being called a hoe, dragged into her bedroom, and what sounds like she was being beaten because she's screaming and crying. This is never acceptable at any age. And following the apparent beating, Jerice Hunter kept Jhessye in a closet.
Oh,
In a closet. And
oh
that is a
man.
common tactic for people who are abusing their child, regardless of any circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping a child in a
Mm-hmm.
closet is, I'm going to isolate you. It's
Mm-hmm.
carceral.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imprisoning you
Yeah.
Right.
in a
Yeah.
small dark place that you cannot get out of, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't have the light of day, and you cannot breathe freely because it's stuffy in there. It's just evil. Her
And
sister,
also,
yeah,
it's also like, I want you to be out of the way.
yep,
I don't
Mm-hmm.
want somebody to see you. You
yep,
might cause me issues if somebody were to see you.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So her sister told police she had to bring the 5-year-old water when Jerice Hunter was out so that she wouldn't get dehydrated.
Oh
Now, the
man.
fact that her sister is like, I still want to take care of you in secret,
Mm-hmm.
is a
Mm-hmm.
testament to, this is obviously, this is a common occurrence, because how would she even know that care needed to be administered while her mother was away?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And it speaks to
That's
how long
trauma.
she was in that closet.
Yeah,
Because
and
if
Yes,
that's
you're
trauma
thinking
too.
about, oh, she might be dehydrated, she's been in there for a
a
while.
long time, yeah. So she would let her out when Hunter was gone and then quickly put her back when their mother got home to keep her from getting in trouble. How long was she gone? Like, how much time are you spending away from the
Oh my
home? Oh
god.
my goodness. I can't just, wow. So the sister also told investigators that she saw bruises and cuts on Jesse's face and body while she was kept in the closet, and that she had black eyes and they were only slightly open, which basically means her eyes were
Swollen
swollen shut.
shut.
Mm-hmm.
The 13-year-old also told police that Jesse's hair had been pulled out and that she
Oh
didn't she
god.
didn't look alive. She describes her looking like a zombie, and that the closet she was kept in smelled like dead people and was like a grave.
Oh my god.
Why does she know what dead people smell like?
That is a very important question.
Why does she know what that would like? I
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And saying she doesn't look alive is very concerning to me, because I think I know what she means.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not that just the light is gone from her eyes or whatever, like that she looks youthful, but that she looks just defeated and exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she's making sure she has water so she doesn't get dehydrated, is she eating?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder, how a lot of people, when they are being abusive to someone in their home, whether it's, their partner or their child or whatever, they control everything around them. They control what you're drinking, what you're eating. I can't feed you because
Mm-hmm.
she's going to know that you ate. And if she knows that
Right.
you
Mm-hmm.
ate, I'm going to get in trouble too. And I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen to me or you.
Yeah.
All of the alleged abuse happened weeks before Jhessye Hunter called police on October 11th. And the last time anyone saw Jhessye alive was September 22nd, which is the last time records show her attending school. Bruh.
What?
September 20.
So you all can't see us. You can't see us. All of our faces are just like, what? Oh my God. Okay.
So from September 22nd to October 11th, Jhessye was not heard from and not seen by anyone outside of her own home. Her sisters say they never saw Jhessye the day that her mother reported her missing, despite Hunter telling police that the older siblings were watching her as she ran errands. But why would the kid
try to make it seem like it's them?
Yeah,
try to make it seem like it's their
like,
mom.
oh, they weren't looking, they weren't paying attention. She, ran out. I told y'all to watch her.
Right.
Yeah, something in the milk ain't clean there. Something in the milk is not clean there. So on October 9th, Jhessye Hunter bought a bottle of bleach at a Walgreens.
This is 2 days before she reported her missing.
2 days before she reported her missing. She cleaned her entire apartment and scrubbed her shoes that were in... Whoa, wait, hold on. She cleaned her entire apartment with bleach and scrubbed her shoes that were in a closet with Jhessye with bleach. Investigators reportedly found blood under the carpet in the closet Jhessye was alleged to have spent weeks in, and concluded with near certainty that the blood belonged to Jhessye. That was
blood to be found under the carpet.
It soaked all the way through.
Yeah.
That was the evidence retrieved even after Hunter allegedly spent a whole day cleaning the apartment and buying bleach 2 days before reporting her daughter missing. Now, the court records show that Jhessye Hunter was suspected of child abuse in April, and a report was filed. But it's unclear whether Child Protective Services was alerted about the reported abuse, even with her history and former conviction of child abuse. Again, we have said this in previous seasons. Law enforcement agencies always drop the ball. Every single time we do. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Unless you have money. Unless you have money. The only time we see is if it's like a middle class, upper middle class family that can afford X, Y, and Z.
But every time we have one of these cases where it's like somebody messed up, it's almost always a governmental agency. You are taking our tax dollars and doing absolutely the fuck nothing when it comes to our children missing.
They don't solve crimes. They don't
solve crimes. Like I keep trying to tell people.
They don't solve nothing.
Unless it's about, unless the crime is against property, they don't, a rich person's property, they don't care.
They don't solve crime. They don't prevent crime.
They don't prevent crime.
They are not, they don't protect you.
Nope.
The only time they are salesmen. They have to make and complete the sale. If they cannot sell, they have to always be closing. And if they cannot close the sale, meaning if the prosecutor ain't got nothing to say, they ain't got nobody to charge or nobody to take to jail, they don't care. They don't care. So this was going to require them to actually do some serious work. And they just were like, fuck it, let's not. A court commissioner held Jhessye Hunter on a $100,000 bond and announced that she was a suspect in her daughter's death. November 28th. Now, mind you, Jessie's been missing reportedly since October 11th. The last time she was seen was September 22nd. We are now November 28th. It is now 2 months later. Jhessye Hunter is released from county jail after prosecutors decide not to charge her with child abuse due to lack of evidence and to avoid the situation.
What? Okay. I'm sorry. Lack of evidence.
Your child is missing and it's blood on the floor.
Okay.
What the fuck do you need?
And from a prosecutor's stance, I can understand because there is still reasonable doubt.
I
So
get
I can
it.
understand from a prosecutor's stance, but it's still infuriating.
So I
because
look at it.
never should have got here.
Right.
Had they done their job.
Because what were you doing back in April? Because had you taken her away from her mama back in April, she would not be dead.
Exactly.
You know what? There's also that factor. There's an embarrassment factor when they realize that they failed. And this happens in social work too. And that's why people be trying to go back and edit case notes and stuff like that, which is why like we don't allow things like whiteout or things like that. If you scratch out anything, the supervisor has to initial it and stuff like that, because those records become so important because people end up being embarrassed that they dropped the ball and they know it's their fault. And it's like, no, you can't do that. You messed up. You got to own that. But a lot of times, they be like, oh, well, we're responsible and there's an embarrassment there. And so they're just like, oh, we're just not going to. No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works.
When they decided not to charge her, they said it was lack of evidence and to avoid the situation of double jeopardy if police later pursued a felony murder case against her. Now, I understand that, but I feel like a lot of things could have happened prior to you charging her to prevent you from needing to let her go. Like, come on now. Yeah. So the next day, a Scottsdale-based attorney hired by Jhessye Hunter's friends and family. Like, first of all, if I know you have a history of this deplorable behavior, I'm not hiring you a motherfucking thing. I'm not getting you an attorney because I probably would have already beat your ass. I'm sorry. People in my life know if you are beating your children, do not let me find out about it because I'm gonna beat your ass.
You know, it's so funny because I grew up, you know, I'm Gen X, the remnants of Gen X, and we grew up, everybody was getting beat. Like everybody was getting beat. Like, and we just kind of accepted it. And I said, if I ever become a mother, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
And I think I patted my kid on the butt one time and I went into the bathroom, locked the door, and just cried. I just couldn't believe that I had done that. And like ever since then, I've never hit him again. Now I done cussed him out. You know, sometimes you just got to you got to drop a little something on him. But you know, I definitely took that approach of like, no, I'm not going to hit my kids. It's unnecessary. Yeah. We don't have to do this. They're defenseless. And even though my kid is bigger than me, he would still kind of take it at like, this is my mom, so I can't do anything back. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, because that's how we train them. And that's how we, you know, yeah. No, yeah. I can't get with it. I can't get with it.
Jhessye Hunter's family and her friends hire an attorney for her and say that she has been unfairly convicted in the press. The attorney expresses concerns about her daughter's reported statements, as well as the length of time that Hunter was jailed without a criminal charge. So I understand, like, as a defense attorney, I get it. Like, your job is to defend her and, like, you know, be able to get her off for whatever it is. I don't think that people are considering that if you again, as a prison abolitionist, I am never going to say I'm glad that you're in jail. I'm just not. It's just not my jam. But if I know that I am investigating a missing child who may have been murdered by their previously proved to be abusive mother, yeah, I want you detained. Like, yeah. I want to be able to know exactly where you are and what you're doing. I think that that's something that you use like house arrest for. Put an ankle monitor on her so you always know where she is. Sure. So I can surveil you. Yeah. But I understand that, you know, why are you jailed for so long without a criminal charge? Yeah. It makes them look sloppy when they
Everybody deserves due process. Everybody deserves due process. Even the most vile, heinous people, and that's part of why I'm an abolitionist, is because they will get rid of due process on a whim and just treat people however. And it's like, this is supposed to be a nation
Yep.
where you are innocent until proven guilty. It is on the state to prove that you are guilty and to treat you like you have done nothing. And so when they violate that, it's just not right, especially for something like this. If you want to have what you consider justice by nailing, oh, sorry, y'all. If you want to have justice by so-called nailing this person, you got to do it the right way, because a lawyer will come in and be like, nope, got to throw this out.
Yep.
And they've been
got to throw this out
since the beginning. That's why it's been thrown out already. Like, she's been released already. Like, because they don't have enough. Why even go? You don't have all the.
But also, it was her friends and family. Her friends and family came together, so they're riding for her. But they got her a lawyer. And this is not a public defender. They got a lawyer for her. They're riding for her.
Which doesn't surprise me, because a lot of us support abusive people.
Yeah.
We support the abuse of children as a way of exercising power and authority that we don't have in the world.
Right. And the thing about that really disgusts me is a defense attorney for a potential murder charge is not cheap. They do not work on contingency.
Sure.
You need to open your purse when you hire them. So her attorney is like, something ain't right here. My person is innocent, blah, blah, blah. We are now at the middle to the end of December 21st. Police say that they suspect Jhessye was killed and thrown in a Tempe trash bin in Tempe, Arizona, before she was reported missing, after hearing from a neighbor that Jhessye had asked for a ride to sell shoes in Tempe. When the neighbor went to give her a ride, whoa, Jesus. When the neighbor went to give her a ride, Jhessye brought along a big, heavy suitcase. She would allegedly take that suitcase and deposit it in a dumpster. Let's fast forward to February. February of the next year. So February 6, 2012. We've passed the holidays and all of that. Glendale police began sifting through trash at the Butterfield Station landfill in Mobile, Arizona. What I'm wondering is, what took so long for them to get a warrant to do that?
True.
Because if you heard that from a neighbor back in December, why are you just now doing this in February? Y'all stop working for the holidays or what? Like, come on now.
Well, no, they really do.
They
like
really
around that time,
do.
They don't do nothing.
They don't.
The best time. I hate to say this, but if you go commit some crimes, the best time to do it is in the holiday season, because they ain't doing nothing. They mad. They got to work.
The only people working are retail.
That's it.
Everybody else is clocked out.
So for 96 days, 280 volunteers from Glendale and surrounding police departments carefully sifted through approximately 9,500 tons of trash, the equivalent of 2 football fields in length and 20 feet deep. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office spent an estimated $750,000 for the search, which was conducted mostly with volunteers, and it ended in early July. Now, hold on. Remember when we said police do not solve crime, they don't prevent crime, right? This cost y'all $750,000 to search through this trash, when the previous April, all you had to do was take a baby away from her mama.
That's all you had.
But you couldn't even do that. And now it's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But also, they take away children whose parents are not a threat to them with the quickness.
All the time.
With the quickness.
All the time.
With the quickness.
With somebody
but when
who
it comes to the most extreme cases, it's, we didn't know.
They fell through the cracks. It's bananas.
A convicted felonious child abuser got to keep her children after people in her family was like, something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all found her child's blood in her closet and the child was missing. And you still were like, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Like, this is a lot. So, fast forward, we are now in September. It has now been a year since Jhessye Shockley has gone missing. Glendale police arrest Jerice Hunter on charges of first-degree murder and child abuse of her daughter, Jhessye Shockley. Jerice Hunter pleaded not guilty during an arraignment. Now, fast forward again, we're now in 2013. March 2013, an attorney representing the three family members who helped raise Jhessye before her mother regained custody filed a $3 million notice of claim against Child Protective Services and the Glendale Police Department, alleging their gross negligence that led to Jessie's wrongful death.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot find the information on the resolution of this lawsuit. However, this is what I need more families to do.
Yes.
This is what more families need to do. Because a settlement, money, that is justice. Like, if you have the
Mm-hmm.
police going to jail, that is not justice. You're not getting anything out of that.
Right.
They need to make you whole by giving you cash. They need to be giving you money so that you can seek proper therapy, so that you can,
Mm-hmm.
if you need to move away, so that you don't have to look at
Right.
that shit, be able to move away safely and comfortably and not have to come out of your own pocket. Like, these are the things that need to happen so that taxpayers can look at it and go, how many tax dollars are we spending on these types of things? People are always talking about reform, but this is not it. We can't have reform because these types of things just continue to keep happening. You're not reforming anything. They're not losing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even without a body, prosecutors pursued a murder charge, which they often do if they have enough evidence to prove that a murder took place. Now, their case was focused on the forensics issues with Jerice Hunter's timeline and then the child abuse claims. Now, some of those claims, again, were brought by Hunter's own family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really kind of wondering, like, was their family torn apart because you have part of the family going,
Family is paying for.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And I can see that
the
happening.
2008 case, right?
mm-hmm.
That was brought against her.
Yeah,
It was grandma
yeah,
who was like, this happened, and aunt
right,
who was like, this happened, right? And so that's why I'm saying, like, who were the family and friends? It said friends and
Yeah.
family.
right. So who
Yeah,
are
so
those
there was
people?
who were
Mm-hmm.
those people?
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right, yeah.
So on September 6th, 2012, just go back just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maricopa County grand jury indicted Jerice Hunter on one count of child abuse and one count of first degree murder. Hunter maintained at the sentencing that she was innocent. We all know better than that. Like, let's be for real.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when she pleaded no contest previous.
Period.
Yep.
Now,
she's a fucking abuse. Okay, whatever.
Fast forward a few years, July 17th, 2015, Jerice Hunter was convicted of one count of first degree murder and child abuse, and she was sentenced to life in prison for the murder and a consecutive 20 years for the child abuse. And Jhessye is still missing. They never found her body. They never found remains. Doesn't mean that it wasn't in that trash landfill. Doesn't mean that, just means that, we just never found it.
Right.
I am just thoroughly disgusted at everything that I just had to say, because again, this was a 5-year-old. How do you harm a 5-year-old that
She was
came from
beating
your
her, like,
womb?
yeah, she was beating her, like, out the womb. So here's the thing. So context for people that don't know this, I remember reading there was a study that was looking at incidences of corporal punishment
Yeah.
by race, and they found that Black mothers beat their children earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and as early as 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
in terms of inflicting corporal punishment on them. Um, and I guess, you know, the study and the research was kind of looking for like recommending interventions, like where, you know, they need support, kind of citing stress, right? Stress, poverty, their own domestic violence, intimate partner violence, like family traditions and histories of that kind of thing. Just really trying to be like, all right, how do we stop this, right? But it did find that Black mothers will beat their children at earlier ages. And so she's been beating this girl her whole life. You know, she'd been beating her whole life. And she's the baby. This woman had several kids already. For all we know, she's just like, I can't believe I had another goddamn kid. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just going to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, being honest, it's like another mouth to feed. You know what I mean? Men do it all the time. Men get frustrated. It's another mouth to feed. They become abusive. So we have to allow for the fact that the same may have been true for this woman. We also have to allow for the fact that this woman was mentally disturbed.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's, again, so it's not making excuses, folks. We are not, you know, in that space. But this is somebody, like, when their family confronted, she said, these are my effing kids. I do what I want.
Yep.
Did anybody teach her how to be a mama?
Man.
You know, like, I'm sorry. Again, I am not, again, I just want to be very clear. I'm not making excuses, y'all.
Yeah.
But this was a dark-skinned, heavy-set woman.
Yeah.
Poor.
Yeah.
Single mom, multiple kids. Doesn't know what to do.
With children by an abuser.
By a sex offender who did not register as a sex offender, so he got in trouble for that shit too.
Yep.
You know, like this abusive person. There's so much there. Okay, we're not letting her off the hook, y'all. This was horrendous. This was horrendous, and that baby and all them children, because she was beating all of them, punched the oldest son in the face, and all this kind of stuff. Like, they had enough on her, and that's the thing that gets me. Like, we're looking at this story. They knew this woman was a child abuser, a perpetual, continuous child abuser. She beat all her kids harshly, like awful, awful, awful.
Yep.
And then they're going to be like, well, we don't know if she murdered them.
Right.
You know,
right.
And I'm just also, like, come on.
We're just going to reunify and not keep tabs on her.
Like. And no tabs and whatever, because we got enough of these kids in the system. So let's send them back. Whatever happens, hey, maybe she will do the work of us and we don't have to worry about it. It's sickness.
And some of the things that they require you to do or to have in order to do the reunification process are very, like, bare bones, bottom of the barrel, doesn't really require a whole lot. It's also very easy to fake it and say, yeah, I got all this stuff in place. And also we've had cases on this podcast before where you have the CPS workers and the social workers that are falsifying records, not even going and checking on the kids and saying, yep, I checked on that child, they were fine.
But here's what's interesting about the outcome of this trial, right? Her defense attorney was trying to say that because she had spent so much time incarcerated while she was being charged with this murder, it took away from her ability to try to find her child. That was their primary defense, that she was a desperate mother. She'd been incarcerated for so long. She wasn't able to go and try to find her child, have empathy for her.
Yeah.
And the jury was like, nah. Jury was like, nah.
Actually,
nah.
Like,
no.
It reminds me of so many cases where it'll be, because she went and was like, my child's missing. Like, she went up and was like, my child's missing. Like, let's help find her. Like, went on TV, blah, blah, blah. And it reminds me so much of, like, you'll hear cases of a man kills his ex-girlfriend or something, and he's on the search and rescue team, and like, oh my, I can't. And like, the level of depravity that, like, you
crying on the news about somebody that you murdered.
It's,
oh my God, yes.
That's a level of just depraved behavior that I can't comprehend.
But also, let's also look at the fact that her daughter took the stand to, like, defend her and say that and blame the family, to blame the courts for tearing their family apart.
Yeah.
Like, listen,
It
I'm
sounds very
just, that's so
brainwashy.
sad. It's so
Yeah.
sad, but it's abused, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They call it Stockholm syndrome or whatever,
Yep.
identifying with your abuser and things like that. But it's
Yeah.
just like, when you think about it and they're like, yeah, she did beat us, but
But
now
she
I'm just
loved
like,
us.
so when I
And
think
that
about,
that makes me wonder what happened in foster care.
Yeah.
like, right, that I'd rather be back
Mm-hmm.
with my mom. And also because there is extended family involved, right? So yeah, you give me back to my mom, at least I could have grandma or my
Mm-hmm.
aunties that I can go to. But when you put me in foster care, I don't have access to them. And just kind of this idea that you're tearing our family apart. Like, again, folks, because I have to say this, we're not excusing what this woman did, but there's so much going on here.
Yes.
And we have to give you all of that. Like, we have to talk about like all of that. And
There is a sorry. There is a holistic consideration that needs to be taken into account when we are going over cases like this, because
yeah.
there's so many moving parts. There are so many players involved, and I don't think it's fair for us to just focus on the mom and the victim. It's necessary for us to look at the entire picture so that
Mm-hmm.
we can see how big the crack is that these people fall through.
Right. And like with her daughter defending her, it reminds me a lot of how in intimate partners violent situations,
Mhm.
black women will not report black men that are abusing them because they don't want them to be hurt by the system. And I can see children defending their parents because it's definitely ingrained in us. Like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
if somebody calls CPS, you're getting taken away, the family's getting broken up, you're gonna go have to live with some strangers, and
Because
like
they're the law, they're
it,
cops too.
and they're
It's trauma.
exactly. So like
Yeah.
looking at it in that way, these institutions have to stop victimizing us in order for them to actually be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. And that's really what it is. And we've talked about that in previous seasons. Just how do you trust the system and trust the people that have harmed your community so much,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
right? And I tell people all the time, as a retired social worker, part of why I never worked with child welfare is because I knew I did not have the the heart and the energy
Mm-hmm.
to be in that space because of how horrible it can be. But also, you're not going to have me breaking up and destroying families
Mm-hmm.
unnecessary. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
Unnecessarily. I'm not going to be that person causing that trauma. And unfortunately, so many children in our communities, like, they know that trauma. They know somebody coming into the house and yanking out a sibling or
Yep.
yanking them away from their family. They know what it's like to have to figure out the lies, coordinate the lies, because when
Mm-hmm.
that lady comes, we got to tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be like, all right, make them think that everything is okay, and we got to just make sure, this is the truth that we're telling them. We're fine, we're good. You don't need to keep coming back here, when really they know they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if they're choosing the devil they know,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
then the misfortunes of the foster care system, because in the foster care system there are all these predators who sign up to get paid to abuse children,
Yep.
Yep.
right? And foster children will tell you that, so damned if you do, damned if you don't. So this was heavy.
This was heavy.
Yes.
This was heavy. This was a heavy one, but we did it, and you all stuck it out with us. Our stories are going to range, right? And we always tell people, just listening to this story is a massive trigger warning, because some of these stories get a lot deeper than we're prepared for, but we have to tell these stories. And we hope that you appreciate the context that we tried to provide in this one. um, and rest in peace to Jhessye. Like, that poor girl suffered. All those children suffered, but that poor girl suffered, lost her life. Yeah, so rest in peace to her. All right, I think that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you
Nikki?
think, Nikki? We good? We're good.
Yeah.
Got anything else to say? Yeah.
All
right.
May her
That was heavy,
spirit,
y'all.
may her spirit find all of her best ancestors, because it's just horrible. It really is. And as a villager, I love the community children that I know and who are in my life. And I can't imagine standing by while something like this takes place.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think about the secondary and tertiary characters who are involved, who did not say anything and didn't act. You ain't even really got to call the police. You can always yank somebody to the side and be like, yo, what is your problem?
Yep.
Just letting somebody know that they're being watched.
Yeah.
And
You
not
can
by
be
the
an anonymous. You
state.
can make an anonymous phone call.
Yep.
Just
You could always make an anonymous phone call. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe, share, let people know. That's the best way that you could support us, is to let people know that we are here, that you enjoy the podcast. Leave us a rating. We prefer the 5-star ratings. Thank you so much. Follow us, subscribe. We're on social media everywhere. Keep up with us. We're really excited to be back with season 4. And we hope you tune in next time.
Toodles.
Peace.
Bye, y'all.